Hi everyone, this is Tim. Just a little bit of a pre-message before this podcast. When I listened back to it, I sounded quite down and a bit off. And I think I was still recovering, well, I am still recovering from that illness. And I sounded a bit down and in the dumps throughout the whole podcast at times. And I'm just mindful of that. And I just wanted to just say that I'm fine. And I wasn't quite happy with the tone of it, but I think the message is still an important one. So just wanted to say that and hope the message resonates with you. See you later. Hello everyone, it's Tim. It is the last day of 2022. So happy new year whenever you hear this. Might be a few weeks in. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow on New Year's Day as well, so I might wish you happy new year twice. Welcome to North and South podcast, named after the fact that I initially wanted to do this podcast with my sister who lives in Scotland. I live in England, and we were going to talk about things that are occurring in both countries. But my sister couldn't really commit to it at the time. But I just kept the name because I think it kind of hints at looking at wide ranging issues, which is what I firmly believe in. Right, a few self-care ideas. I spoke about this in a previous podcast, but just some ideas about looking after yourself. So we did the first 5 in a previous podcast, and they were to stretch your muscles, to drink more water, to go for a walk in nature, to indulge in your favourite treat, and go to bed earlier. And the next 5 I'm going to talk to you about are, I think, really important things. So this is a Wellbeing podcast. And I'm going to talk to you about these 5 things before I talk about having a good day, a bad day, and an in-between day, and all points in between, which should be interesting. One is listen to your favourite song. There are certain songs and pieces of music that when I put on lift me, and it might be in the car, on my phone, in work. Take opportunities to listen to your favourite music, your favourite songs. Second one for today is to eat vegetarian meals. Now, I know there might be a few people, I've got a few friends who, whenever I mention that, get all defensive about the fact that they're meat eaters, etc. But vegetarian meals, you'll feel better after them. And let's just say that the meal itself is probably a bit easier to prepare, and they can be really, really tasty if you do your homework as well and know what to do. Number 3, take a nice bubble bath. Sometimes we jump in the shower, jump out, and don't take all the opportunities we should to relax. And having a bubble bath and a relax in the bath, if you can afford to put the heating on and heat the water these days. But now and again, do treat yourself. And even if you can't do that or you don't do that, find time to just relax, to just sit still. I'm a big advocate of meditation as well, as you know. Number 4, cook your favourite meal. My favourite meal is beans on toast, and I have it once, maybe twice a week, and other people often frown and say that's not a proper meal. That is my favourite meal, and apparently it's one of the only meals, or not the only meal, that you could actually have every day for the rest of your life and live. Sorry about any background noise. As you know, I do these podcasts in a working co-environment. And 5 is practice yoga. I've done a podcast on yoga before. I'm going to do one on meditation at some point as well, but that's still developing in my mind, and I'll get back to you on that. Meditation is not just about formal meditation, it's about using what you learn from meditation and applying that throughout your day. So that's what I'm a big believer in, that we should live better lives. And if you find the secret, let me know. Now, I'm going to talk to you today about having a good day and a bad day and all points in between. And I did this a few days ago, and I wrote these ideas down, and it's actually helped me to think about the days since then more mindfully. Now, a lot of what I say, I know that I should do, but I don't always do it. But I've actually been a bit better the last few days at being in control of my life. I've spoken before about this, and I firmly believe that people need to go to therapists and counsellors once or twice a month, particularly when they're having a bad time. and to really get to the root of why you are the way you are. It goes back to your past, to your family, the way you've been brought up, etc., the experiences that you've had in your life, some of which may be quite traumatic, some of them might not be, but life's traumatic enough in its own way, even if you haven't been through big trauma. Life's also a beautiful thing, and every day of life is valuable. And I remember reading a great piece of writing by David Vosnarovich in his fantastic book, Closer to the Knives. And he talks about like things in life and says, smell the flowers while you can. And he keeps repeating that phrase at the end of different paragraphs, talking about different things. I think he's actually at a bullfight while he's watching it, and seeing the death in the arena gets him to think about life and how fleeting it is and how quick it is. Smell the flowers while you can, seize the day, seize all the moments that life gives you, because they are finite. Bear with me when I do this, but I'm going to start off with a bad day and what I'm like on a bad day. I'm not in full-time work, and I'm a bit of a failure really, because I don't have like a proper job. I've effectively got like a 0 hours contract. I'm a single parent. My most recent relationship didn't work. I've got issues with fidelity. I have in my past a failed marriage, and I'm estranged from the mother of my son. I see my lad 3 days a week, and I struggle sometimes to find quality time to spend with him. I live with my parents. I'm 45, and I rely on them. I lack independence. I don't like gardening or DIY, etc. Bit of a failure really as a man and a parent. I'm also ill. I've got a physical illness. I have high doses of medication daily. I also have an issue with anxiety and depression. Not really a good catch overall. I take daily medication that helps me to get through the day. I also rely on my weekly medications to help me deal with my physical condition. I'm on strong chemotherapy drugs for my condition. I've been in hospital a few times. A bit of a drain on society really, and the NHS. I often feel quite down and can be quite neurotic. Day-to-day life can be quite difficult for me. I'm also, I suspect, neurodivergent. I might have ADHD. Makes life hard, adds to the anxiety and worry about the future. I often speak terribly to myself. I worry about the future, not having a home of my own. I've got an old car. I'd like to see my son more. I've got health issues, and some of them health issues are progressive. I sometimes get upset with little things. Someone being off with me, have a real sense of justice, and I get frustrated with the world far too easily. I feel like I can't get my own house in order, never mind sorting out the world. And overall, I'd say I'd probably have a bit of a 4 out of 10 kind of person, really, in terms of my life and as a person. That was me on a bad day and how my mind works. Sometimes I'm like that for parts of the day, and then I feel a bit better later on. Here's a different perspective. I work in a job I like for a company that looks after me and has a great philosophy. I work with good people who value me, and I'm making a difference in a deprived area with underprivileged people by doing my job as a teacher every day. I have high standards for myself and others. I can acknowledge mistakes. I am willing to change and compromise. I want to better myself. I want to use what I have learned in my past and in my present in terms of self-development, personal development, etc. At the end of the day, others can be led to the water's edge, but you can't make them drink. You need to deal with things, and I often do deal with things with equanimity, with calm, and with assertiveness. I did trade union work for 18 months, tackling injustices and helping people who were in vulnerable positions. I've got wonderful family and friends, wonderful family and friends who care a lot for me, and I care a lot for them. I've got a beautiful son who's a little angel. I love him. I do what I can for him. I'm there for him. I'm a good dad. I want what's best for him and I want to be a good example for him, and that's a big part of my day-to-day living. Living with my parents means I get to see them as they get older, and it takes a village to raise a child, and I do rely on them to help look after my son, etc. But I do pay my way, I do my bit around the house. I've got health issues, so what if I haven't got my own home? I've got my own flat and apartment which I rent out, so I've got that to fall back on if needed. Who created private homes anyway? Who come up with that system? Doesn't seem to be working that well, really, particularly in this country with the cost of living at the moment. And so, what if I struggle with full time work? I've got health conditions that stop some people from working if they had similar genetic illnesses or whatever. So, I'm not doing too bad, really. So, what if I have weaknesses and things that don't interest me? Others can do them. I think it's important that I'm open and honest. If necessary, I will work on them and do them if they need doing. I have a little to-do list and I can add things to that need doing and then come up with a plan, deal with it in small stages, get help from others if I'm struggling. Seems to work quite well. What others think is none of my business, and I know that. And I'm assertive and equanimous. I'm kind to myself. I take responsibility. I do my best. I'm not here as a popularity contest. I am kind to others. I'm polite. I respect people. That's enough. I speak to others and I speak to myself, and I watch how I speak to myself and others. If I speak well to me, that is key. I know this. I look to speak well to others too, and it's important that I speak well to me first and foremost. That is where the roots of self esteem are, and I know this. I can be my own bully if I let myself. I accept that there is often no black and white, but also that I have boundaries and want what is right and fair. I accept I miss things at times. That is okay. Keep your mind open. Values are important, but they must not make you unhappy. Regardless of what happens, my life is directed by me or parts of me. I accept that. I take that responsibility. I love myself and I seek wisdom. I take responsibility for my health and seek to get better every day. I won't let it stop me doing things. Yes, I must be wise, but I must always seek to get better. I can't wish it away, my health issues, but I can make the most of my life. Yes, I might be neurodivergent and depressed at times. So what? I am me. I might meet someone who loves me. I might not. But I am grateful for what I have. My pint is half full. I am creative. I care. I want to make the world a better place. But I must also make myself better first. I have bad days, bad weeks, poor health at times, but I have good days, good weeks, and I am alive and kicking. I exercise, I eat well, I meditate, I love life, I love my life. I guess I'm a bit of an 8 out of 10 person on days like that, and times like that in life, and as a person, I'd give myself 8 out of 10. Now, what do I know about all this? There are two different ways of looking at the world, and sometimes I'll have days where I'm one of them, and then another day where I'm another. Sometimes it's within the same day, it might be a little spell that you have. But why not be more like the second person? A lot of the things that make us unhappy are there to defend us and to protect us through evolution. Being cynical towards others, worrying about things because you want to know where your next meal's coming from, but they can also make you very, very unhappy. We didn't evolve to be happy. We evolved to stay alive, to have our basic needs met. And that is why we are here. But through wisdom and enlightenment, we can become more 8 out of 10 than 4 out of 10. The average of that is 6 out of 10. I even want to be a little bit better than that. And I understand that that means root and branch examination of my life to get better, to improve. Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. It's very easy to give in to your emotions and your fears, but there's a higher intellect that can seek to make us better, wiser, and more enlightened. One day I'm going to be pushing up the daisies, and I know one day my son won't see me anymore, and I know one day it will be the last time I ever see the snow, and it's important that we seize the day that we're not hard on ourselves. Because both of those stories I've just said, the 4 out of 10 and the 8 out of 10, both of them are true. Some days I do have a 4 out of 10 day. Some days I'll have an 8 out of 10 day. Okay, yeah, the average is 6, as I've just said, but what if we can make more days 6, 7, 8, 9s? At the end of your life, if someone said to you, would you rather have good days or bad days, what would you say? You'd say good days. But yet, because of our programming, we often deny ourselves that fulfillment and that meaning. Mark Twain wrote, and I've said this before, some of the worst things in my life never happened. And we often worry and worry and worry about things that never happen. Henry Ford once said, either you can or you can't. Either way, you're right about how you can take control of how you see the world in a binary fashion. And I remember reading a story once by a guy who was in a very brutal prison in Latin America, and he said each morning he woke and he said to himself, the one thing that I am in control of is how I see my predicament and what I do in response to my predicament. I might not be able to control the fact that I'm in this prison, but I can respond to how I react to being in these appalling conditions. And I remember reading books about the Holocaust, about those people who, like Viktor Frankl said, he woke up each morning and he just said, I need to get through the next few hours this day. What am I going to do today to help me get through those days, those hours? How am I going to keep my head and chin up and stay positive and give myself that meaning, that search for meaning to get through those next few hours? Because one day this will end, and it did. And then he wrote that great book, Man's Search for Meaning, about how even in the darkest of times, you can kind of see a way out and a meaning to things, etc. Sometimes when I'm driving, I get really peeved off with other people and other drivers, and then other days when I'm driving, I don't, when the same thing happens. And that's how you see the world. And you can often feel like that's beyond your control. And you cede your control to situations and to others. Don't. Take control of those situations. That is true wisdom. Each day, wake up and be grateful. One of the things that's kind of emerged recently in terms of how I'm approaching each day is about the importance of gratitude, particularly when you wake up in the morning. Be grateful for that day. And in your first few steps, say thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for this. I say that about 3 things. And sometimes my mind, well, it is at its most negative in the morning. I have to offset that and say, no, I'm not starting the day in a negative way. You might be tired, you might be grumpy, you might be ill. But the way you view the world, that is ultimately in your control. And it's important that we remember that and try and get up towards that 8 out of 10 approach to the day. Being positive is the only way to live your life. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that you're not assertive. It means that you are positive for you, and then you're positive for others. The way you speak to yourself dictates how you then speak to others and how you are in the world. As I was writing this, I realised that I was having quite a few days that were like 6-ish. And writing about this, I've decided to have more 8 days. And since I wrote this about 3 or 4 days ago, I've had more 8, 7 days. Because I've done little things and I've just been mindful of it. And then, in a month or two, I might have forgot this. That's the challenge about taking that wisdom on board. And whatever serves you well, keep it going. Don't let the subconscious, it takes 30, 60 days to develop a habit. The subconscious can often knock progress down because it says, no, the ego wants to go back to the way it was. Don't give in to the ego, the negative mind, the monkey mind. When you make that progress, consolidate it. And yet we do forget things, and yet life takes twists and turns. But the good stuff in life, that's what we're aiming towards. The light in the darkness. There is always tomorrow. There's always this next moment to say, right, in this moment, in the next moment, tomorrow, how can I make myself better? It doesn't mean we don't need to make root and branch changes, but we're wise and we're moving forward and we're making progress. And the final thing I just want to say is, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for some point in the future when it's all going to be great? No. It's about right now, getting to 8 out of 10. Maybe doing things long term, giving up on addictions, speaking to therapists or whatever that take you from a 6 to a 7. It's not something you just do like that with a click of your fingers, but you can start the journey with a click of your fingers. And it's about staying on the good path. That's ultimately what life is about. So, develop an attitude of gratitude and let it permeate through your whole consciousness. And what I'm going to be doing over the next few days is I'm going to be actively grateful. And it might just be that, wow, the lecky's still on, the electricity. Wow, I'm reading a nice book there. That book really interests me. I'm grateful that I can read, that I was educated. It's about just seeing that gratitude everywhere and focusing on that. So I'm going to be doing that in an attempt to move me towards the 7, 8, 9. Doesn't mean that I'm not doing the longer term things, my emotional journal, where I write down the things that didn't go well that day and how I feel about them, to try and come to terms with them, to process it, etc. But take the first step in every moment on that important journey to a better life. And if anyone knows how to get there with a little hack or whatever, that's great. Whatever works for you, share them with me. But this is a journey, a long journey. And ultimately, there's 2 outcomes. There's a good outcome and there's a not so good outcome. And I know where I want to go. All the best for 2023. Write down what you want to do in 2023 and maybe think of little steps you can take towards them. Do it tonight. Do it tomorrow. What do you want to do this year? What kind of things do you want to do? And how are you moving towards them? So let's be grateful for every day. And let's get to 8 out of 10, folks. Because one day, you won't be able to change your days. Because your days will be running out. So, seize the day and let's do it now. Have a great 2023. Speak to you soon. Make sure you share, like, subscribe. Try and share this with at least one person. If you can contribute financially, you really help me on this journey, expanding, moving forward, progressing. I've got ideas beyond just doing the podcasts, getting out into the community, etc. So anyone who wants to come on talking about the usual themes or whatever to do with well-being, creativity, history, politics, financial survival, get in touch. So take it easy. Have a great 2023. Please subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. Come to the party and I'll speak to you soon. See you later.